Hello and a very warm welcome to Science Monitor. I am Smriti Rastogi. Amid the COVID-19 crisis, we are trying our best to bring to you all the significant developments that are happening in India pertaining to science, technology, research and innovation. From the special interaction with Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India to the latest developments that have placed India at a prominent position at the World Health Organization. We have lots in store for you. So let's begin with the headlines. India gets a lead role at World Health Organization. India's nominee, Dr. Harsh Vardhan, elected to chair the executive board. Amid the COVID-19 crisis, super cyclone Amphan poses huge challenge. Accurate prediction by IMD leads to evacuation of more than 6 lakh people. Interaction with Professor Vijaya Raghavan to know the progress of vaccine and drug development in India and also to take his advice to live with the virus and to deal with the misinformation. And Cobas 6800 installed at the National Centre for Disease Control in Delhi. State-of-the-art testing machine can diagnose various infections including COVID-19. World Health Assembly and Executive Board are the two governing bodies of the World Health Organization. Being a member of the United Nations, India is already a part of the World Health Assembly, and now it will also play an important role in WHO's Executive Board as India's nominee, Dr. Harsh Vardhan, has been elected to chair the Executive Board for the next 1 year. Let's see the report to know more.
India will now play a prominent role at the World Health Organization as Dr. Harsh Vardhan, the Union Minister of Health and Family Welfare in India, has been elected to chair the Executive Board of WHO. Dr. Harsh Vardhan, who is at the forefront of India's battle against COVID-19, succeeded Dr. Hiroki Nakatani of Japan. The appointment of Dr. Harsh Vardhan as its chairperson was announced on 22nd May at the 147th session of the board.
That is to invite Dr. Harsh Vardhan to take the chair.
Thank you, Dr. Nakatani. I wish you all the best in all your future endeavors. Distinguished members of WHO, Executive Board, Director General of WHO, Excellencies, representatives of member nations, all regional directors, heads and representatives of UN agencies and partner organizations, and staff of WHO. This moment fills my heart with joy, one in which I yearn to rise in response to the warm and cordial honor which you all have bestowed upon me.
The board has 34 technically qualified individuals, and it gives effect to the decisions and policies of the Health Assembly and facilitates its work. The post of board's chairman is held by rotation for 1 year by WHO's regional groups. After taking charge as the chairman of the executive board, Dr. Harsh Vardhan applauded all the corona warriors as well as their families and thanked them for their exceptional services.
For our doctors, for our nurses, for our paramedics, for our hospital and sanitation staff, for our journalists, for our airport and security personnel, and for our army, police and paramilitary forces, and all those mothers of the COVID warriors who let their children take the risk of stepping out. We salute their dignity.
Amid the COVID-19 crisis, the annual World Health Assembly was held virtually this year on 18th and 19th May with a shortened agenda. At this assembly, India was elected to join the executive board of the WHO for the next 3 years. Addressing the World Health Assembly, Dr. Harsh Vardhan had highlighted the timely, graded and proactive measures taken by India towards COVID-19 management and had assured everyone that India is confident of doing better in the future.
The landfall of super cyclone Amphan has added another challenge amid the COVID-19 crisis. According to the reports, the cyclone has devastated the state of West Bengal and also affected certain parts of the coastal Odisha. More than 6 lakh people were evacuated from these states before the cyclone struck. The cyclone was predicted well in advance by the Indian Meteorological Department, but the disaster management agencies are sure to face increased difficulties due to the pandemic of COVID-19. Here is a detailed report.
After a gap of 20 years, a super cyclone has once again hit the eastern shores of India. As per the recorded history of cyclones, Amphan is the second super cyclone that has originated from the Bay of Bengal. The cyclone has led to massive destruction in the state of West Bengal after devastating India's neighbouring country, Bangladesh. Thousands of homes, electric poles and communication links have been destroyed in the areas that fell directly within the range of cyclone. Strong winds and rains also affected the coastal parts of Odisha. As India Meteorological Department had already warned about the super cyclone, so the disaster management agencies were able to evacuate more than 6 lakh people from the states of West Bengal and Odisha.
India Meteorological Department सभी लेटेस्ट टेक्नोलॉजी को यूटिलाइज किया इसको मॉनिटरिंग करने के लिए और सभी डेवलप्ड न्यूमेरिकल वेदर प्रेडिक्शन मॉडल्स को यूटिलाइज करके अपना नॉलेज, एक्सपीरियंस एंड एक्सपर्टाइज को यूटिलाइज करके इसका ऐसे सक्सेसफुल फोरकास्ट दिया। सिर्फ इसका ट्रैक की नहीं, इसका इंटेंसिटी, इसका लैंडफॉल पॉइंट, लैंडफॉल टाइम, एसोसिएटेड वेदर यानी स्टॉर्म सर्ज, हेवी रेनफॉल और डिफरेंट डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स में होने वाले विंड्स।
Before the super cyclone Amphan, the cyclone of Odisha in 1999 had caused massive destruction in the state. Cyclones form when warm and moist air over the large water bodies rises upward, creating an area of low air pressure underneath. This causes the cold air from high pressure areas to fill the gap. But this air too rises up after warming, which again leaves a low pressure area. Thus a cycle is formed, and when the scale and speed of this cycle intensifies, it gives rise to cyclones such as Amphan.
NDRF टीम्स का जो रेस्पॉन्स का काम है वो तो साइक्लोन से पहले ही शुरू हो गया था, और जो प्रिवेंटिव डिप्लॉयमेंट या एंटिसिपेटरी डिप्लॉयमेंट है वो काम 4 दिन पहले से ही शुरू हो गया था। अभी NDRF का जो कमिटमेंट है वो किसी भी एंगल से ख़त्म नहीं हुआ है, बल्कि जो ज़्यादा काम है अब शुरू हुआ है, क्योंकि जो जहाँ पर डिस्ट्रक्शन हुआ है या डैमेज हुआ है उसमें रेस्टोरेशन का काम बहुत बड़ा काम होता है और इसमें समय लगता है। तो इसलिए हम लोग राज्य सरकार के साथ कंधे से कंधा मिलाकर काम कर रहे हैं।
The natural disaster during the COVID-19 crisis has added to the workload and difficulties of the disaster management agencies. Although many people were shifted to safer destinations, yet accommodating all the people while maintaining social distancing at the shelters will be a huge challenge amid the COVID-19 crisis.
And now it's time for a very short break, but we will be right back.
COVID-19 is an infectious disease caused by a new coronavirus introduced to humans for the first time. It is spread from person to person, mainly through the droplets produced when an infected person speaks, coughs, or sneezes. These droplets can land in the mouths or noses of people who are nearby. These droplets are too heavy to travel far in the air. They only travel approximately 1 meter and quickly settle on surfaces. This is the reason person-to-person spread is happening mainly between close contacts. The exact time that the virus can survive on surfaces is not yet known. So it is wise to clean surfaces regularly, particularly in the vicinity of people infected with COVID-19. Hands touch many surfaces, which can be contaminated with the virus. You should therefore avoid touching your eyes, nose, or mouth, since contaminated hands can transfer the virus from the surface to yourself. When coughing or sneezing, cover your mouth and nose with the bend of your elbow or use a disposable tissue. If a tissue is used, discard it immediately into a closed bin. The most effective way to prevent the spread of the new coronavirus is to clean your hands frequently with an alcohol-based hand rub or soap and water. This will eliminate the virus if it is on your hands. Stay healthy and prevent the spread of COVID-19.
Welcome back. You are watching this special edition. Many nations are working on vaccines and drugs in order to find a cure for COVID-19. And India is also among them. Today we have with us Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India, Professor K. Vijayaraghavan. And we'll know from him how India is progressing in these areas and what the people should do while they wait for a suitable cure. Professor Raghavan, thank you so much for joining us. We welcome you to the show. Sir, we have heard that there are at least 30 vaccine attempts that are being made in India. Are these independent efforts or they are in collaboration with other nations?
You know, overall, across the world, there are over 100 efforts. And these are 100 major efforts. Now, when you say there are 30 efforts in India, they cover the whole range from very small and innovative players to big vaccine companies. The very nice thing about the Indian vaccine effort is that previously, Indian companies were known for their manufacturing ability, but not too much for their innovative vaccine development ability. So now they're also developing vaccines, which is very good. The kinds of vaccine developers today range from those who are collaborating internationally under international leadership, those who are collaborating internationally with Indian leadership, and those who are going ahead and trying things substantially on their own. So these fall into these different kinds of categories, and they fall into those in academic areas who have started their companies, small companies, as well as big companies in India.
So we are also involved in drug development and we are repurposing various drugs for COVID-19. These drugs would be mainly to manage the symptoms better, or we can also tackle virus through these drugs.
You know, when you look at drugs against a virus, it is important to keep in mind that the virus substantially uses our own machinery to replicate and to infect then other people. And therefore, any drug intervention, unlike a vaccine, which is very specific, a drug intervention is very difficult because it also affects us if it affects the virus. So there are some drugs which people think could be specific to the virus, but we don't know whether it will work against this virus or not. So the new drug discovery is very tough and has to balance that. There are repurposing involves the use of drugs which have been identified for other purposes to see whether they work in this context or not. That is, again, a difficult, in terms of us lucking out. We don't know whether it will work or not, but people need to try that. So drug discovering is a big challenge, but people are trying that. Typically what happens, such as what happened with HIV, is you start off by getting a drug which has a modest effect. Then you add another drug into it, another antibody into it, and you build up a cocktail which has more and more effect, and then it works. So that's a very long haul.
Professor Raghavan, as all these efforts will take time and we'll have to learn to live with the virus, so what would you suggest to achieve that?
You know, we should remember one thing, that it is not either or, that somehow there will be a magical cure tomorrow, or we have to only live with the virus for a long time. We must do both things. And even if there is a vaccine today, its deployment and use will take a long time. So we still have to live with it. So these are important things that need to go together. For us to live in a manner where our normal lives are maximized and inconveniences are minimized, we must do 5 things. We must wear face masks whenever we interact with others. We must have a physical distance from others.
We must have, after that, hygiene, proper hand and feet washing. There is a danger of fecal oral transmission, so that too needs to be taken care of. Hygiene is very important. We must test not only those who are positive, but those who were in contact previously with those who are positive and who may be asymptomatic or pre-symptomatic. And that requires contact tracing, such as with the Arogya Setu app. If we do these 5 things, while scientists work very hard at changing the virus by drugs or vaccines, we would be in reasonably good shape, indeed in much better shape than if we don't do these things. These things are not easy. We have a very complex and diverse environment, very crowded, dense family structures to, rural areas. So all of these things need to be done, but, that requires a lot of effort, right from citizens to government.
So the present crisis has shown that we need more efforts for increasing the scientific temper of a society. We need to educate people, but there is also an issue of misinformation. So what is your advice in this context?
There is a very famous philosopher, Yuval Harari, who pointed out in an interview recently, and he said this is an unusual time. He was talking about Israel and the West. He said this is an unusual time when, whether it is the synagogue in Israel, they are told don't come there and congregate. The churches are told not to have large congregation, and the mosques in Israel were told not to have large congregations. And people trusted scientists and asked them what their view was. So he said this is an unusual time that no matter what your faith is and what your beliefs are, you value science. And that is very, very true in India also. People everywhere look to experts and look to science for advice, and they're following that advice. In that situation, you will always get, whether it is in the West or in India, all sorts of views jumping up and coming. That is the nature of the world always. It's particularly the nature of today's world, where communication and social media dominate. It is our view to calmly tell people about the nature of the disease and what needs to be done. And importantly, what is the burden of evidence needed to take something as being effective in a treatment or a cure or something else which is a dangerous thing to do. And these debates are not just about, different kinds of fake news coming up. These debates are very serious about different ideas also. At the heart of this is a very simple matter and about the nature of science. Science is an effort where scientists are willing to change their minds as long as they get evidence for it. So people might say early on, masks are of no use. Then you will find a few days later the same scientist saying, well, I changed my mind, masks are actually useful. That is the nature of science. When evidence comes, people change their views. They might say, here is a drug, it could be very effective. And then they do a trial and they find, well, the drug is not effective, let's try it and look for another drug. People who are not in science need to understand this, that you can have ideas, you can have hypotheses, but a hypothesis is not evidence, an anecdote is not the experiment. So we have to do proper experiments no matter what your hypothesis is. And that is the heart of science. And that's something which we need to communicate. There will be all sorts of different views popping up. Some of them are, likely to be dangerous and they should be countered. Others are, take up a lot of time and may not be dangerous, so leave them alone. And others, need to be thought about as, hey, this is an interesting idea. Can we take it forward?
Absolutely, sir. Thank you so much for providing these useful insights. We are sure that our viewers will act on your advice and do their best to defeat COVID-19 as well as misinformation. So with that, it's time for a very short break. Do stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You are watching this special edition. India is making all efforts to limit the spread of COVID-19, and therefore it is investing more and more in diagnostic technologies to identify and contain the coronavirus infection in India. In this series, a high-end, fully automated testing machine was installed at National Centre for Disease Control in Delhi. The testing facility was inaugurated at BSL-2 lab of the centre by Dr. Harsh Vardhan. Let's see the report to know more about this development.
To fight against COVID-19, testing is considered a major weapon all over the world. And keeping in mind the need for more testing in India, a state-of-the-art testing machine, Cobas 6800, has been installed at the National Centre for Disease Control in Delhi. The state-of-the-art testing facility was dedicated to the nation by the Union Minister of Health and Family Welfare, Dr. Harsh Vardhan, who inaugurated the facility at the BSL-2 lab of NCDC recently. During the visit, the Union Minister interacted with the officials and scientists of the centre and reviewed the status of COVID-19 testing.
आज हमने यहाँ NCDC में अभी देश के लिए एकदम नई रॉश की कोबास 6800 कोबास 6800 ये इस मशीन का नाम है और ये फुली ऑटोमेटेड मशीन है जिसके माध्यम से हम अभी कोविड-19 के वायरस को डिटेक्ट कर रहे हैं और एक दिन में अगर रात को मशीन को ना चलाया जाए तो सुबह से लेकर रात तक रफली 800 के करीब तो टेस्ट आराम से हो जाते हैं।
Cobas 6800 is a fully automated high-end machine capable of performing more than 800 tests in a day. Enabled with robotics, the machine minimizes the chances of contamination as well as the risk of infection among the healthcare workers. The machine carries out all the vital steps on its own, from neutralizing the virus to RNA isolation and its analysis. In addition to COVID-19, Cobas 6800 can also detect many other pathogens, including hepatitis A and B, HIV, and Mycobacterium tuberculosis.
There are three altogether right now. 3 facilities are doing this in the country. We are the third one to be added into this. But just as you mentioned, it's a high throughput machine. At a time, we can upload, say, 300 to 400 samples in one go, and then the results keep on coming. So if we take a 24-hour run, which of course the mandated breaks so that the machine doesn't get heat up, and with that we can go for nearly 1,000 samples a day. We can process that.
At present, more than 500 labs, including government as well as private, are testing for COVID-19 in India. India has now developed the capacity to conduct 1 lakh tests per day, and according to the reports, more than 20 lakh samples have been tested so far. With the introduction of Cobas 6800, these efforts will now be accelerated further, as the machine will increase the testing capacity immensely.
And now let's take a quick look at the innovative solutions India has come up with to reduce the impact of COVID-19 in the country through our segment, Science Express.
On 21st May, the innovative RNA extraction kit developed by Sri Chitra Tirunal Institute for Medical Sciences and Technology, Trivandrum, working under the Department of Science and Technology, was launched at a function. The launch of Agape Chitra Magna was announced through a video conference by Dr. V.K. Saraswat, member Niti Aayog and president of Institute Body of Sri Chitra Tirunal Institute of Medical Sciences and Technology. The program was attended by Professor Ashutosh Sharma, Secretary of DST, Dr. Asha Kishore, the Director of the Institute, and other senior scientists. Meanwhile, the manufacturer of the kit, Agape Diagnostic Limited, made the first sale of the kit to Amrita Institute of Medical Sciences in Kochi. This test will make the COVID-19 probe more accurate, faster, and economical. IIT Guwahati developed a super hydrophobic antimicrobial coating. This coating can improve the function of an ordinary face mask tremendously by transforming it into a high-quality, water-resistant antimicrobial mask. The researchers took a hint from the water-resistant property of lotus leaves, which not only keeps the leaves dry, but also keeps them clean. As COVID-19 spreads mainly due to the expelled water droplets during a cough or a sneeze, so these droplets can contaminate the ordinary cloth masks and coverings and facilitate the infection. But using antimicrobial and water-resistant coating on such masks will prevent the water droplets to rest on the mask. So this technology will make the regular masks more effective to stop the spread of COVID-19. This coating developed by IIT Guwahati has also got approval from Science and Engineering Research Board, SERB, Government of India.
I'm hopeful that we can even use the tissue paper as a face mask. Even after aqueous exposures, you will see this tissue paper is not wetting. So you can easily cover your face, and you can go and you can use it for long run, and you won't see kind of wetting of this tissue paper because of the sweating. Neither for humid environment can make it damp.
The Department of Biosciences and Bioengineering of the Institute has developed a very cost-effective spray to provide an antiviral and antibacterial coating on masks and PPE kits. This coating has been developed using the nanoparticles of copper, silver, and other active ingredients which act as antimicrobial agents. This spray can stop the risk of infection by stopping the entry and accumulation of microbial contaminants. It has been kept pretty cost-effective so that it can be used everywhere easily. The spray will make PPE kits reusable and reduce the risk of their disposal. IIT Guwahati has also developed a 3D printed ear guard, keeping in mind the comfort of our frontline warriors. Long-time use of strapped and tight-fitting masks is painful to the ears, and this is a major concern with healthcare workers who have to wear them continuously while performing their duties. Therefore, an ear guard has been designed ergonomically to hold the face mask strap in place without exerting pressure on the ears. The ear guard can be used with any kind of face mask. It reduces the pressure on the ears and enables the person to wear the mask for long hours without any inconvenience or pain. The free-size ear guard can be adjusted according to the shape and size of any face.
Well, that's all we have for you in today's edition of Science Monitor. Do tell us how you like our program. You can send your feedback and suggestions through our email ID. Our email ID is news@vigyanprasar.gov.in. You can also write into us at Vigyan Prasar, 5th floor, Prithvi Bhavan, Lodhi Road, New Delhi, 110003. We will meet you again next week with new information and developments. Till then, stay safe and think scientifically.